welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do a experiment, and we're going to be sort of experimenting on the use of brake cleaner on brakes. Now, I've done a couple of videos in the past on brake servicing and cleaning, and quite often people comment on that you shouldn't use brake cleaner on brakes. Now, if you can't use brake cleaner on brakes, I'm not sure what you're going to be using brake cleaner on. Now, it does say on the instructions on the tin of the brake cleaner to avoid excessive contact with rubber components. But I find brake cleaner, it does evaporate very, very quickly, so a quick spray over I don't think is going to be making much difference. Okay, so I've got a pot here with some brake cleaner in it. I've got some carb cleaner, I've got some contact cleaner, I've got some acetone, and I've got some good old-fashioned petrol. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be cleaning your brakes in acetone, petrol and other things. I really want to see what effect it will have on the seals itself. Now, I haven't got loads of seals, but these are made of a similar rubber. I just want to see what effect it will have on them. So currently they're quite firm. So we're going to start with the old brake cleaner. Chuck that in there. Carb cleaner. Contact cleaner. Acetone, which I expect will be quite nasty. And of course petrol. Okay, we're going to leave those for a while. I'm going to come back just in an hour. And I'm going to see what's happening. And then I'll leave them longer and see what goes on. So it's been about an hour, and we're just going to see what effect these various liquids have had on these components. First thing we're going to be going for then is the brake cleaner, which is the one we're more interested in. So I would say that's softened a little bit, but it is very cold in the shed today. And obviously these rubber components have been here for a long time. Once I've taken it out of the liquid, it seems to be sort of stiffening back up. Doesn't seem to be any real effect on that. We'll put that back in. Okay, now the carb cleaner, I'm expecting to make the rubber very, very soft. Okay, and over a short period of time, it's only been an hour, I can't say that's any different than the brake cleaner. Okay, contact cleaner. That's as hard as it was. Acetone. A little softer. Now, that's one that's been unsubmerged. Look what the petrol has done to the other one. Okay, you can see how much more that has expanded it. And of course, you're not going to be cleaning your rubber components in petrol. We all know it's bad. That's why you don't use it on your chain, because it has rubber components on the seals of your chain. Okay, so that's sort of halfway through the experiment. I'm going to leave that longer. I'll come back to it now at the end of the day when I finished work and see what they look like then. So it's been about 7 or 8 hours. Straight away, looking at these two, they're standing up out of the container. It looks like they've swollen up. Let's get that one out. Okay, now you can see how it's swollen up there. Obviously that bit is swollen more because this has pushed itself out of the container. So it's kind of expanded. Just leave that one there. This one in the carb cleaner has done pretty much exactly the same. Contact cleaner has done virtually nothing. That said, it is, it's a lot harder. Acetone, which I thought would have been one of the worst ones, again has just made it quite soft, but it has increased in size, but nothing like the one that's been in petrol. That has increased massively. So they've all expanded slightly, apart from the contact cleaner, which is just hardened. That was the original size. So this is a very non-scientific experiment. What I'm going to do now is leave them all out and see what happens to them as they sort of reduce back to size. Will they crack? Will they become particularly brittle? So we'll leave them like that for 24 hours and come back to it. Okay, so here we are, we're back down the garage and it's been 24 hours. We're just having a look at these again. They all seem to have returned back to their almost original state. So that's the brake cleaner. That's the carb cleaner. If you remember, they just swole up slightly. The contact cleaner didn't do much. It just went quite hard. That's the original one. The acetone swole up a lot, but has returned back a little bit. Yeah, almost normal. And the petrol swole up a lot and has returned back almost to where it was. So I'm not to say we're going to clean our brake calipers in petrol or acetone or whatever. It was just a fun experiment just to see what would happen. This is the one we were more interested in, was the brake cleaner. Okay, it's been a few days after the experiment, and coming down the shed I noticed that the one that was soaked in acetone has taken on this like glittery effect. There's this residue on it, and I can't think what it is. I've not done anything in the shed that would potentially cause that. It's not on anything else, and they're all in a very close proximity. That one's still rock solid, so contact cleaner just makes everything hard. So my conclusion, like I say, a very unscientific experiment. After an hour, it did soften and swell ever so slightly, but there wasn't a lot. After 7 hours, 8 hours, it did swell up quite a bit. Now, brake cleaner, you don't spray on it for long periods of time, and like I say, it does say on the tin to try to avoid contact with rubber components. But if you think about the rubber seal when it's in the caliper and then the piston is in there, you can see probably about a millimetre, if you're lucky, of the rubber seal, and it's kind of concealed inside the caliper. So heavy contact with that is difficult unless you're actually trying to get brake cleaner on it. If you're unsure, like I say, just use soapy water, particularly if it's not that dirty. Soapy water will probably be fine anyway. If you've got a large build-up of brake dust, then get the brake cleaner out. So just nice to see what actually happens. Like I say, it's not having a massive adverse effect on the rubber. So if you like that, please press subscribe and look out for more videos.